There are so many interesting roads to travel in jiu-jitsu, from when it comes to knowing if you're training at the right academy. Is your instructor the right person? Should I stay at this academy? Should I leave? Or should I just quit jiu-jitsu altogether? So we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into these topics today. How's it going, everybody? My name is Chasen Hill. I'm a jiu-jitsu instructor. I've been teaching jiu-jitsu and training jiu-jitsu now for close to 14 years. So if you like all things jiu-jitsu, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button so you guys never miss the latest video. So in today's video, what I want to talk about is some internal academy politics, or how to handle some interesting scenarios that present yourself in jiu-jitsu. So whenever we start training jiu-jitsu, we all think it's going to be sunshines and rainbows. You know, the first day you walk in, you go to do a jiu-jitsu class, you learn so many amazing things. You vibe with all the people, the instructor seems great, all the students seem great. You just think like, man, this is an awesome thing. What's ever going to derail me or stop my journey from training? Obviously, what I'm going to tell you guys is very much my opinion based. You know, I've been helping running a jiu-jitsu academy for close to 10, 11 years now, as well as being an instructor. So I've definitely made mistakes as being a focal figure inside of academy, but I've also heard from tremendous other people's experiences, from either that are exiting one academy and coming to the academy I teach and train at. And of course, I respond to literally hundreds of emails and comments and talk to people all the time about their general academy experiences. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is because I actually have an online coaching program, and I recently had 2 students that we do this weekly group jiu-jitsu acceleration calls where I try to kind of guide them into their training and let them know where they need to be going. But part of the thing that no one ever talks to you about in jiu-jitsu is you can have the best training plan, you can have the best techniques, you can own all the best instructionals, but if you don't have a great environment or academy to train at, then none of that stuff matters. Because the reality of jiu-jitsu is that you need mats, and you need training partners, and you need some kind of guidance. I all know that there are people out there in jiu-jitsu that are like, you know, jiu-jitsu coaches are full of themselves, they're egotistic, you know, they sit up on a pedestal, you know, you don't need to listen to them or follow them and all of this stuff. And definitely there are those types of instructors in jiu-jitsu, but the reality is until you probably become realistically a later blue belt or a purple belt, having someone stand over you and kind of direct your training is very valuable. Now, do they need to hold your hand and make every decision and then you need to like lick their feet? Absolutely not. I'm not encouraging that. I'm not supporting that. And I'm not saying that, but definitely having someone kind of point you in the right direction and you can bounce ideas off and resources is very valuable. Going back to the original idea of this is that 2 of my students have had a little bit of internal issues in pushing and pulling and not knowing what they should do next. So one student, he has a little bit of an issue with his current instructor in the sense of he was rolling with possibly, I think it was the instructor's either wife or spouse or significant other going for a submission. She didn't tap or whatever. They're both very skilled. They're both a purple belt. She was trying to escape, so he was trying to hold the position. And as she was escaping, she kind of got injured. And of course, she went and relayed that information. And then the head instructor, who is significantly more skilled, then proceeded to lay down the law, is what they call it, because got the word that he had injured the student. And so now he's very conflicted. How he communicates it to me is that he was never purposely trying to injure. He was just trying to make sure he had the submission. He thought the person was of enough skill level, so they should have enough ability to tap and recognize that they were in danger. And by no means was this like a full separation or destruction or ending somebody's career. And the person got a little injured. So then the black belt decided to lay down the law and take on the next steps. He's tried to have a talk with his instructor, and he doesn't feel that he's in a safe training environment. He feels like that the way the instructor rolled him was very aggressive. At the end of the day, jiu-jitsu is very personable. We're playing with each other's arms and legs. I understand accidents are going to happen, but it's a different thing. It's really like bullying, that if you are the much more skilled person and you choose to inflict excess amount of pain, knowing that someone is going to be hurt out of it. Let me know what's some internal academy conflicts that you've had at your academy. If you haven't had any, fantastic. Let me know of ones that you're either worried about or that you heard about. Share with me down in the comments below. So scenario number 2, because they both are going to kind of boil together. A story number 2, my other student is having a little bit of a hard time. Nothing to do with the personal thing. It has to do with the business end. He recently told them that they were going to be raising all the tuition and they were going to be raising it $20 a month. He communicated to me, Chase, I can afford the $20. It's not that big of a deal, but at the same time, I'm just not sure if it's worth it. The classes, and he's just communicating all of this stuff to me. And it has nothing to do with the jiu-jitsu. It's nothing that he feels unsafe. It was just, he just wasn't 100% convinced that paying another $20 was going to do anything for him. Both of these ultimately boiled down to one concept in jiu-jitsu as running a business or being a jiu-jitsu instructor is this: providing value. That's it. You are a jiu-jitsu student. Your idea is that you're choosing to train at an academy because you feel like this academy can provide you the most value. That's it. Value is the number one thing. So if you're at a jiu-jitsu academy and the value isn't what you think is worth paying, don't train there. Go somewhere else. So let's go back to story 1. Student who is feeling like he's getting bullied or roughed around and feels uncomfortable. If he feels that way, if that instructor has made him feel that way, then the value of that academy just declined heavily for him. He feels like he is uneasy. He can't train the way he wants to train. He feels like he's going to get injured. So why would I continue to pay my tuition to an academy that provides me that kind of value? I wouldn't. I would absolutely not. If I was in that position, I wouldn't. Now, here's the thing. For some people who have never had that same experience, that academy might be 100% fine. So the value that they get out of that academy is different than my student who is feeling that way. And that's what happens in jiu-jitsu is over time, people are going to get different values at academies. Here's the crazy thing. You may not even have anything bad happen to you and the value might change over time. My story 2 about my student who is curious about the $20 extra. He was trying to communicate to me, Chase, he's got a really big school, he's got these black belt instructors, just all of these things, a lot of space, all this stuff. He's trying to justify the reason why the $20 might be worth it. But here's the thing. If the guy's got double the amount of space, double the amount of instructors or whatever, double the cleanliness, whatever, justifying the $20, then if you're going to raise me $20, you better be bringing at least 20% more value. That's it. I understand economy and inflation is going up, but at the end of the day, jiu-jitsu is a service-based business. We provide value, and the value is giving the students what they want in jiu-jitsu, whether that's competition, self-defense, fitness, or whatever. And we are in the job of giving multiple check marks. I might have to give them competition, self-defense, in this multiple check marks, right? So we're in the service-based business. So if he doesn't feel like that he's not getting $20 worth more value, then I would recommend he look at other schools, which is what I encouraged him to do. He felt like the money that he was being paid was worth of value, possibly. And now the $20 extra, he's like, I'm not really sure. What you should try to strive for at a jiu-jitsu school, if you're an academy or an owner that's listening or someone who's aspiring to maybe start a school one day, you want to provide so much value to your students that if you go to raise the price, it better be with good reason and they better say, man, I'm surprised I haven't been paying more lately. So that's what I communicated to my student. $20, I understand is not a lot, like you said, but you should have felt like, man, I'm surprised I wasn't paying that already. Or yeah, that completely makes sense and you should have no problem with it. But to me, that's a value issue. He did not see that there was a value in that school paying $20 more. And he had identified, that maybe he was already interested in looking at some other schools and doing other things. So I encouraged him that he either needs to do two options. He needs to, leave the school completely or not leave and go check out the other schools and tell them, hey, my memberships may be coming to an end. I'm interested in exploring my other options and I want to try a class out. And so when you go try a class out, what this does is it's going to confirm two things. One, that you leaving the school is right for you and you see all this other value over here and you're worth spending your hard-earned working money with this over here. Or number two, you might realize how great your academy is. You might realize that, man, I really enjoy the big space. I enjoy these size of classes. I enjoy the cleanliness or whatever. To you, you might find that of tremendous more value than you did before. You know, that old saying is sometimes you don't know what you have until you don't have it. It's the same thing, because realistically, depending on where you're located, yes, there are a lot more jiu-jitsu schools popping up, but really it's very small. So I live in a town that's got 100,000 people. And at the end of the day, there's only about 5 or 6 jiu-jitsu schools, which that can sound like a lot, but when you compare it to like restaurants, man, we've got thousands of restaurants for 100,000 people. Now I understand not 100,000 people train jiu-jitsu, like they eat food. So I understand there's not that many, you know, it's not the best comparison, but at the same time, 5 schools are not that many options. And there's going to be chances that maybe all 5 schools don't have exactly what you want, but it's still up to you if you want to train jiu-jitsu to find the school that has the most value for you, that accomplishes your goals. I know what you guys are probably saying. If you're a jiu-jitsu instructor or if you're an old school black belt or been in jiu-jitsu for a long time, there's kind of an error or a dogma over jiu-jitsu that you have to be loyal to the person who you got your belt from. And don't get me wrong, I've literally trained at the same school. I've been under my same instructor from the day one of white belt since I walked in all the way through. I've never changed schools. You know why? Because he's provided enough value for me that I felt like I was able to still get benefit from. I enjoyed the way he teach. I enjoyed the academy. All of those check boxes are being checked for me. So I was very lucky that I have found that. But over time, that value could have changed. And we've had students who have actually had that. They've started at our school. They thought it was great. They had other needs, and maybe they decided that they wanted to do new classes or there was a better class time. Whatever their own reasoning is, that's 100% on them. It's your money. You're able to decide. They end up moving on. And we've had it vice versa. But what I don't want you guys to do is, please, if you're a student that's on the fence and struggling with jiu-jitsu, unless you're in a place that literally there's one school or maybe 2, like you don't have as many options, don't quit. Okay, we need more people in jiu-jitsu. The only way that the art is going to grow is having more people in jiu-jitsu. One of the most frustrating things to me as a very much of an advocate of jiu-jitsu, I truly think that if everyone trained jiu-jitsu from the time that they were kids to adults and they practice weekly, monthly, or whatever, the world would be a better place. That's a video for like a whole other day. I truly think that, and I think most people who train jiu-jitsu would agree with that. That's probably why you're watching this channel. But what happens is if you're not pleased with your academy or you have a sour taste, most people think that all academies are the same. They think that, well, I tried jiu-jitsu at school X, so jiu-jitsu at this school is going to be the same. Their curriculum could be the same. The way that they teach, that they structure the classes could be the same. The techniques that they show could be the same. They all are about to try to win competition. Like they all might have the same overarching thing, but the environments might be different. The instructor might be more friendly. There might be a different crop of students at one than the other. So there's still different experiences in many environments inside of this big environment. Now, there are some schools that are completely different. Some schools are 100%, 180 degrees from one than they are from the other. And that's totally fine too. Please, please, I'm begging you, if you're like a white belt or a blue belt that's teeter-tottering, that's not really sure, thinking about quitting jiu-jitsu, explore another school, especially if you really enjoy it. Because sometimes people will do jiu-jitsu and just not enjoy it, and there's nothing I can do for you on that. I don't want you to think that if you're like a newer person watching this channel, like a newer person in jiu-jitsu, that there's going to be a moment that's going to cross your brain where you're not sure about how to handle something in your school. You're not sure about how to deal with the instructor, or you're not sure about how to deal with this difficult student, or you're not sure how to deal with some kind of a politic thing. And there are more in-depth videos I can give you about how to handle that conversation with that instructor, like how I did with my student. I had to give him direct advice, but that was for his his unique experience. Both of my stories that I told about my students struggling, it's about value. They didn't feel like, one student felt like he was not safe, he wasn't getting the quality of training, he felt like there was a target on his back. That's not good value for him. And my other student who felt like he got an increase in rent or an increase in his tuition didn't feel like there was value there. So I encourage you, if you're a jiu-jitsu instructor or academy owner, provide enough value to keep your students. If you're tired of students leaving, you need to provide more value, whether that means adding more classes, teaching different, adding more basics, catering to the people who are majority of your school, whatever, provide more value. And if you're a student, assess if that school has enough value for you. And that might mean checking out the other schools and seeing what they provide. Some people, enough value is just training once a week, having partners to train. Some people want the moon and the stars, and there's gonna be no academy that ever meets that. The best thing you can do is think about who you wanna serve as a jiu-jitsu instructor, and then find the school that can meet those needs, or at least meet most of them, right? If you can do that for your student, if you can meet the needs of that student, you'll be good. And if you're a student, find the school that can meet the things that you're most valued in doing. Cool, guys. So that's it for this video today. Thank you guys for sticking around and listening to me yak. If you're needing help in your training, check out my acceleration guide down below. That way you guys can get going on to the right place. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.